Hello, everybody. Matt Aponte here with the Insomniac Hour. And this evening, we are going to be talking about the mystery behind solfeggio frequencies and how they have anything to do with our DNA. So, pretty excited to take over the Wednesday night shows here on the Redpill with the Insomniac Hour. I know some of the you viewers that are going to be coming in have been interacting in the ISOSYNC Labs group over on in the networks. So we'll make sure that maybe that link will be in the chat. If you want to join after watching the show, you can come over and join the chat too. So also, if you have any questions about what we're going to be talking about, and if you want me to answer any questions in regards to everything, just go ahead and post them in the chat. I can see, because I'm still in the process of taking over all of the different chat threads, but I can see everything over here on YouTube. So feel free to post your questions and or comments, and I will interact, taking into account the delay that I see. So if you're new to sound therapy, you probably haven't heard of solfeggio frequencies. And if that's the case, then I'll give you a quick little rundown of what solfeggio frequencies are. Essentially, solfeggio frequencies are the core harmonics or resonance of the earth. And they were used as far back as Solomon, the Song of Solomon. So as a matter of fact, the Song of Solomon's, if you're familiar with the Bible, was actually based off of the solfeggio frequencies, and the main tune, the tuning, or we'll call the orchestral tuning scale, was 432 hertz. But essentially what a solfeggio frequency is the Schumann resonance is 7.83 hertz, and it fluctuates. But the base or the main frequency of the Schumann resonance, which is essentially the electromagnetic pulse or resonance that the earth gives off from the earth's core, is at 7.83 hertz. So essentially 8 hertz. And if you multiply that, essentially, that's how you get the solfeggio frequencies. So like 396, 428, or 432, 428, also 417. So those different solfeggio frequencies. Now, I always like to share something that is pretty interesting when it comes to frequency and sound, because I think it's really important for everybody to understand the correlation between sound waves, or the geometric shapes that are embedded in certain frequencies, and our DNA and water. So a really great way to do this is to introduce you to cymatics. Now, you probably know about cymatics if you're a longtime watcher of the any of the Redpill Project shows, but maybe you're not. But essentially, what cymatics is the geometric resonance shape that happens whenever sound is pulsed through either like they'll use salt, like low grit salt, or sand, or even water. And I'm going to show you something which I think is really cool. So first of all, there is a snail. So did you know, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to share my screen. Did you know that snails actually like eat carrots? I had no stinking clue that snails ate carrots. And so I'm going to, there's actually, they did a cymatic sound where they were able to, and I'm just finding it to pull it up here, they were able to identify or the registered sound of a snail eating a carrot actually in the cymatic signature shows shapes of the spiral of the snail. It's really amazing, and I think it's a fun way to sorry guys, this is not working here for me. Here we go. Here it is. All right. Boom. Let me share the screen. Pause this. I can do this. I am technically inclined. Here we go. Share the screen. All right. Share and play. So this is a Mesodon zillatus snail eating a carrot. Isn't that wild? Now I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it here because what I want you to see is essentially the central area is indicative of the snail's radula. So you can see as the sound resonates through the snail, right? It's picking up the pentagonal geometry in the central region, the hexagonal geometry in the central region, a spiral-like formation in the central region. So all of these things are essentially picking up the shapes and then resonating out. So this is really amazing. And I'm going to share with you one more. So when we talk about frequencies and how they affect the cellular structure of our body, of our DNA, most people are completely oblivious to that, right? So I'm going to give you a really simple example that everybody has experienced. And it's been a little bit here, so I'm just going to check the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, Patriotic Pisces, hello, hello. So here's a really good example. Let's say you woke up, you're going to work and you're in a normal mood, okay? And you are not in a happy mood, you're not in a sad mood, you're just like in a baseline mood. You get in the car, you're driving down the road and you go turn on the radio. And the radio begins to play your favorite song, okay? And all of a sudden you start bopping your head, right? You're feeling good. Let's say it's a happy song and you're just like, and you're feeling good. Well, that song, the tone, the beats, and the frequency of that song is affecting you. It's affecting you emotionally. And then that is reflecting in your physiology. You're actually moving. You can see this in like, if any of you have any kids, right? A 2-year-old toddler, 3-year-old that is just learning how to walk, and you play some, dance music or music, they literally can't help themselves. They usually end up moving in some way or shape. We are very intimately entangled with sound and react to it. So let's say you're driving down the road again, you're in a baseline, mood. And then you go to turn the radio on, like we talked about before, but this time it's not your favorite song. This time it is a sad song. And I know that there's people out there that like country music, and I used to too, but let's say it's a sad country music song, right? Or, it's a slow song, whatever it is, it's a sad song. And after a while, if you're listening to it, you're just like, man, this song is making me depressed. And what can also happen is that it can trigger emotions. It can trigger maybe you just went through a breakup a few months ago and you were over it, but then you listen to that song, that frequency, that resonance, that vibration is actually triggering deeply embedded emotions. And then you're reacting, your physiology is actually, you're reacting to it. So on a very basic level that everybody can relate to, that is the power. That is how powerful sound is based on us and our physiology. So dubstep, it always got me super hyped. Me too. I love techno music and EDM. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I used to listen to before I discovered isochronic tones and began to create them to help with my focus. I actually used to listen to dubstep or EDM to help me focus because it's on a high beat rate, 150 BPM, and that would get me into a higher focused gamma state or into a good beta brainwave state. So that way I could focus on the work that I was doing. So that's a really great way. Thank you for bringing that up, Patriotic Pisces. That's a really great way to also show the correlation between our brain, how our brain reacts to the beats as well. Now, frequencies is slightly different than some of the tones, and our cells actually react to it too. So we're 72, 78% water as adults, 80% to 90% as young humans. And all of our cells, every single cell in our body, including our DNA, is made up of over 40% of water. I think it's about 42 to 45% of water. Now, everybody knows that water carries sound. And water actually has a structure to it. So depending on the quality of sound waves that is going through your body, you're either strengthening the cellular structure walls of your cells or you're weakening them. Now, there was a test done by Dr. Puleo, Dr. Joseph Puleo in the 1970s. He actually rediscovered the solfeggio frequencies. And he was so enamored and impressed and excited about them that he really devoted much of his practice from that point on to bringing them back into the awareness. But he did this test. And what he did, no, that wasn't Dr. Puleo, actually. That was Dr. Glenn Rain in 1988, who picked up Dr. Puleo's work. And Dr. Glenn Rain was a biochemist, and he made a discovery that really just kind of blew everyone away. And he confirmed, this is like ancient knowledge. Everybody, like the ancients, the Egyptians, right? The pyramids, it's all based on sound and resonance. There are people that have gone to the pyramids and have had the opportunity to sit in the middle of the pyramid in between tours, and they began toning or chanting. And people far outside of the pyramid said that they can see and feel what they're toning or chanting. So the ancients knew the power of sound and frequency and how it affected us. But in 1988, biochemist Dr. Glenn Rain, he exposed similar DNA vials to 4 different types of sound. And the 4 different types of sound are Gregorian chants, Indian Sanskrit chants, classical music, and the 4th one was rock music. Now, he was able to assess the effects of each type of music. And as it says here, I have notes up so that way I can get most of this stuff right. And the result will make you reconsider the type of music you listen to when you want to relax. So essentially what happened was that he was monitoring the amount of UV light absorption that the DNA, the ability for it to absorb UV light, because basically increasing UV light absorption. So essentially a healthy DNA cell or a molecular structure or DNA strand, a healthy DNA has essentially a good, like a baseline UV absorption rate. And what he wanted to see was which type of sounds actually increased the ability for the UV light to absorb more UV, or if it decreased it. And what he found was that the Gregorian Sanskrit chants had the most positive, even healing effects by increasing UV light absorption between 5 to 9%. Now, what's funny is the classical music, because before really getting into creating my own types of frequencies and tones to help me essentially kind of hack my states and, heal myself, I used to use, I love classical music, and I used to use classical music a lot with studying. But what he found was that classical music increased UV absorption by small amounts. It was about 1.2%. So it did have a positive effect, but it wasn't like what the Sanskrit and the Gregorian monk chants were. Now, here's the crazy thing. Rock music decreased UV light absorption by 1.5%. And in some cases, it actually harmed the DNA. Crazy, right? I'm going to check the chat here. I did the rice experiment with my son, the love-hate experiment. Crazy how it worked. Our thoughts and words have frequency, makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ursula, 1111. That's how it works. And the reason why it works is because within tones and frequencies, there are geometry. There's geometry, right? Just like what you saw in the cymatics of the snail eating a carrot. In everything that we do, there is geometry. And we are either, like we talked about, like on, I think it was last week with Josh, like I talked about, or it was the week before that. That's where casting spells comes from, right? Spells is spelling, right? Or cursing. If you want to curse someone, like, hey, they cursed at me, it's from the voice because it has negative connotation, right? It actually has an inverted geometrical shape in it, and it does cause harm on what we projected onto. So, Annie, it was rock. I don't know if it was hard rock, but it was rock. So I used to study listening to Metallica. Sorry, what's dubstep? Someone help Julie out. It's essentially like a really hard kind of, it's kind of like hard techno music. It's really hard to explain. You look it up on YouTube, dubstep. Skrilla is one of the more popular, or back whenever I was listening to it, he was. I don't know what it is now. So Brenda, what is the best type of healing music then, especially for health or healing? I am going to get into that right now. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you guys I'm actually going to show you using cymatics. I'm going to show you what a healthy cell looks and sounds like. And then I'm going to show you what a stressed cell looks and sounds like. All right, so that's the heart. Here we go. Here is the healthy cell. Let me pause this. Okay, let me share the screen. Here we go. Is that the right one? Share. Bring that. There we go. All right, check this out. So this is courtesy of Dr. James Gmelski. And if you watch, right, so whenever I show you guys these clips, and I'll replay them if you'd like, watch, because it doesn't always happen, but you can see perfect geometry flashing in there. And what you see is essentially like a symphony, a harmony happening. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now show you a stressed cell. And this is pretty wild. So we now know what a healthy cell is like. And remember, when we talk about cell, where there's what, over 50 trillion cells in our body. So that means everything. That means our skin cells, like every part of our body is affected this way. I'll check the chat in a second. I'm going to share this with you guys. And this is kind of crazy. So let me just share the screen again. Here we go. Isn't that crazy? Here, I'll play it again. So as you can see, while it was sporadic, it had no resonance to it. And what was even more than that was that it was essentially static, right? And so this is, I forget the type of machine that they have. It's called the sonocytology signature. And essentially it's like this giant, huge machine. There's a documentary, or it's part of a documentary on Netflix, and I don't remember what it is, but it's this huge machine that they actually can listen and get the sounds of a cell. So what did that sound like? Static. Remember back in the days whenever we had the old TVs? Any of you guys remember that? Had the old TVs? Videos isn't playing, just hearing. Then you know what? I must not have the ability on my end, guys, I'm glad you can at least hear it, because I am sharing the screen. I must not yet have the ability to, because I'm sharing the screen. So I'm not sure why it's not. Here, let's try this again. I think I know what I did wrong. Let's try this. Okay, that's my full screen. All right. Let's see. Okay, I know what it is. Now you guys should be able to see. I'll play that one again so you can see. Okay, so now I'll go back to the healthy cell. Let's see. We move stuff around here. No, that's the 432 hertz. Hold on, I got to move this out of the way. Healthy cell. Here we go. Here is the healthy cell. So now you guys should be able to see this because I have a green square around everything. Crazy, right? So that's what a healthy cell looks like. And so a healthy cell actually has a electrical signature between 70 milliohms and 100 milliohms. And anything less than that is when a cell begins to get stressed. Under 40 milliohms or milliamps, no, it's milliohms, is whenever a cell begins to take on or turn cancerous. So I also want to show you what the heartbeat looks and sounds like. Now look at when it gets faster, you can really see the geometry. Isn't that wild? Here, I'll do it again for you. There it is. Look at that. Now, what do some of those shapes remind you of? So while we're here, this is 528 hertz, but this one, 432 hertz. Okay. So we just saw in the heart one whenever it was beating faster, and you can see some of these remnants or some of these similar shapes. And so if we come over here, let's see this, if this will load. There we go. So this is our DNA. Okay. So we have the supercoil strand A, B, and C. And when you look down from the top, right? So it's strands. If you were able to look down from the top of it, that's what you see. That's the circle below. So you can see this geometry, right? This perfect geometry reflected in everything. Let me move over to the chat just in case I'm missing something. Incredible. Yes. Okay, cool. You can see it now. Awesome. It's almost like the stress cell is crying for help. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's pretty wild. Yeah. 432 resonates to the heart. And 532 is actually, so let me go back over here and show you guys 532, because 532 is actually the DNA repair. So let me share the screen. Okay, cool. You should be able to see this. Can I get this bigger? No, wait, maybe this one's bigger. Yeah, there we go. It's bigger. It's a little distorted. But this is actually the frequency for DNA repair and DNA healing. And what it does is it stimulates healthy DNA unwind, essentially coherence, and it allows our DNA to repair. So if there happens to be anybody who did get something that I am not going to mention, but it starts with a V and an A and a CC, and we all know what's floating around with that when it comes to our DNA, 528 and 432 actually will assist in reconstructing your DNA back to its original form. All right. And that's just all I'm going to say about that there, but I'm pretty sure you can put together the pieces. So I'm going to go back to the chat here, guys. All right, cool. Holy cow. Yep. Do you think they changed 440 to make us more discordant? Annie, you are 100% right. Can the link about the effects of sounds to our DNA be shared on the social platform? Look for me on TikTok. I just started getting on TikTok, and I am actually sharing that on TikTok. So you can search me, the Matt Aponte. So Annie Prescott, I'll go ahead and start talking about that. So you may have missed it. You may not have been on the last show, but that's exactly what we talked about. So I think it was like in 1936, Goebbels or Goebbels, he was part of the Nazi regime. He actually discovered that 440 hertz caused dissonance to the human cell. It causes an irritability, a discomfort, right? And so he also discovered and found that when people are exposed to this, they're able to be more controlled. And if you think about it, you know, let's talk about mob mentality, or let's talk about when people are in a state of stress. When people are in a state of fear, they're a lot more easily triggered. And if you know psychology, you can use that to get the kind of outcome that you want. See, that's why everything that's going on right now is essentially a fear campaign. And there's so many different layers to this, but I want to stick to the DNA, because the reason why I'm so fascinated with frequencies and DNA is because literally sound is a powerful weapon to be used for good or bad. It is being used against us. It has been used against us And it's in the 40s, whenever the Nazi party, Mr. Goebbels, I can't remember his first name, and Rockefeller communicated however they usually do in their dark corners of the earth with, I would brandy and cigars and whatever. And they're just like, well, we should bring this over to America. And I'm going to make this the new standard in the ISO. And that's exactly what Rockefeller did. He coerced the International Standards Organization to change the concert pitch from 440 to, or from 432, because it was at 432, to 440 hertz. So what does that mean? That means that anything, mostly anything, that has been created since then is tuned to 440 hertz. If you go to school, right, high school or wherever, and you're learning how to play a guitar or whatever it is, you have to first tune your guitar to that bass frequency, and that's 440, and then you play everything off of that. And if you can go on to YouTube and listen to the difference between a guitar or a musical instrument tuned to 432 and 440, and the 432 is it just feels better, right? It sounds a little warmer and it just feels a little better. But the crazy thing is that it's just changed just enough to where it causes slight dissonance. It doesn't cause an adverse reaction, right? Kind of like nails on a chalkboard, because if it was that much of a change, nobody would want to listen to it. So there was a lot of, obviously, thought and intelligence behind this to make just the right amount of change at 440. And the crazy thing is that if you go up 441, 442, you're actually closer to the next solfeggio scale. And if you go down, you're actually closer to the next solfeggio scale. So 440 hertz is actually the perfect frequency for dissonance. Now, what happens when our cells are in dissonance, right? So that causes irritability, it causes stress, it causes depression. And some people are a lot more responsive to music and sound. All humans are, but we all know that some people are just a lot more sensitive, right, to these types of things. And so some people, get into depression. And then, when you're in a bad mood, right, you want to listen to a sad song because in some weird way it's soothing. So you're literally creating this cycle, this really bad feedback cycle. And what it was, the way that Goebbels actually phrased it was creating a prison of your own consciousness. And that's what the 440 frequency and the whole change was based on. So, better, more control over people. It's easier to cause conflict in between people, right? All these different, white, black, Mexican, whatever, there's the separation. It's easier to cause people to conflict when they're in that state. Also, the longer that you're in that state of dissonance, the less healthy that you are, which means you're more susceptible to sickness. You're more susceptible to, disease, and which means you have to now rely on pharmaceuticals. Like, can you see the whole circle happening here? And this is all because of sound. Now, here's the great thing. Patriotic Pisces, 440 hertz equals stressed emotional response. Yes. And singing bowls. So singing bowls are wonderful and beautiful, and they are tuned usually to one of our 7 chakras. And so singing bowls were some of the very early versions of musical instruments that were tuned to these solfeggio frequencies. So singing bowls are perfect. I have a few of them myself. One that's actually tuned to 9, I believe it's 936, which is the crown chakra. So let's see, discordant. Yes. How can I play these frequencies to heal myself? What equipment do we need to play these frequencies? So XRP Leatherneck. to answer this question. So in order to create these frequencies yourself, you do have to have some knowledge of using a tone generator. There are some tone generators on, like free tone generators online and on Google. And I'm not opposed to them and I'm not for them and the only reason why is because I don't know who made them, right? So whenever you begin to realize, and this rabbit hole, guys, I tell you, is a hell of a lot deeper than right now I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg. But whenever you begin to go down this rabbit hole, you understand very quickly that sound has been used as one of the main tools for causing discord and for humanity. So that way they can control us better. It affects our consciousness. It affects our subconscious. Also, it affects our unconscious. And our unconscious is essentially muscle memory, right? We store trauma and everything in different organs of our bodies. And sound affects all of that. And if any of you are energy healers, or you believe in the aura or a bioelectric energy sphere, which is essentially our aura, it affects all of that too. Sound affects every part of our body, our physical body, and all of our subtle bodies. So we really it has been a pinnacle tool used in the war of consciousness. So the great thing is, though, we can create these tones for ourselves. Now, XRP Leatherneck, if you're not part of the ISOSYNC Labs group, then you can, because I have some free tones and frequencies. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is I've created a lot of sample free frequencies, and I'll just put them in the chat for you guys. Let me see here. What is it? Is it ISOSYNC? Let me get funny. First thing that comes up here is Beyonce's Evolution. Don't get me started on her. Let me find, okay, here, I'll get it. Just give me a second. I'm going to put a link in the chat. I got to pull it up because I don't remember it by heart. All right, here we go. Copy link. Let me come on over to the chat. So you can click on this link and there's some tones, but if you scroll down, there's 4 or 5 free frequencies. They're 10 or 15 minutes that you can listen to as much as you want. So here are. Let's give him that. It gave me the long, give me a sec here. There it is. Enter. Okay. The crown bowl is my favorite. Mine too. That's the one that I have over here in my meditation room. It literally gets my brain tingling. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it here. I call my receptors on the side of my brain, and like literally in the two, like kind of like on either side of my the central. I forget what it's called in the crown. So, but to XRP, to kind of answer your question deeper, if you have a knowledge of using Audition or Adobe Audition or Audacity, which is a free audio tone, you can download that and you can create the tone. Now there's different, within that you have a sine wave, you have a sawtooth, a triangular wave, a square wave. And depending on the, what you want to do is the wave that you want to choose. And I don't have time to go into all of that right now, but the most common one is going to be the sine wave. And so you can find tutorials on YouTube on how to use Audacity, because Audacity is free, and how to create pure tones. Now, here's the thing. Pure tones are they're not so pleasant to the ear naked. And so the art of it is being able to take the pure tone and then compose on top of that beautiful additional additional soothing music with other frequencies combined to really get a good effect. What I do with the tones that I create is I also incorporate the Schumann resonance, which is an isochronic beat at 7.83 hertz. So the ones that you can access in the chat there. How can I join? Wow, stop listening to music on the radio since 2014. Good job. They don't play the music in the right frequencies. Yeah, I don't listen to the radio either for at least a year now. And before then, it was all EDM and techno anyway. Can cause cancer and other diseases. Yes, DUK or Duke, maybe. Helena, taking notes. This is awesome. So the mass hallucination culture was created partly by controlling people with sound. You are more right than you know. Where's the link, Cheryl? Let me post it again. It's above you, Cheryl. Styles, here is the link again. So no problem though. So gosh, XRP Leatherneck. So go to redpill.tv and you can join. Is that right? No, that's wrong. Darn it. Does somebody in the chat have the link that you can share with XRP by chance? Can any of you share him a link to get into the Mighty Networks group? And the ISOSYNC Labs group is free, so you can be a part of that as well. So yeah, so we've all heard of, or maybe you haven't, DARPA with using sound to essentially, disperse groups. They can, depending on the type of frequency, you can target different types of organs as well. And so it can be used as in warfare. They can literally, shoot these huge LiDAR, essentially, they're called, kind of like satellites at a crowd of people, and the frequency targets their bowels. And it's called the brown sound, which essentially makes them almost immediately shit their pants. So yeah, the link is not showing. Weird. That is weird. Okay, so it's really easy, guys. I'll tell you, and you want to write it down. It's themattaponte.com/links. That's what it is. Themattaponte.com/links. So can the show go below the info? Yeah, I could have Josh add it. I don't have access, unfortunately. I'm still in the process of getting moved over to be able to take control of the show myself. So Josh just got me on, and then he kind of just let me take over. Let's see if I can do this. themattaponte.com/links. So let's see if you guys get that, because it's not a link. Oh, it's starting to do it again. Is it? Let me know if you guys. I know a targeted person, Victoria. Dune movie was right. Yes. If you guys want to watch a movie, if you're ready for some soft disclosure, that's going to kind of blow your mind. If you want to watch a movie that's really freaking close, aside from The Matrix, that's all I'm going to say. Jupiter Rising. Watch Jupiter Rising. And it's there's going to be some stuff in there. And if you're like, wait a second, that couldn't be happening, I'll just tell you this: the truth is stranger than fiction. And the fiction is actually based on the truth. So let's see. It's going to be the Matt Aponte and then .com/links. Why is it doing this? I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot and I don't know how to share links. But it's easy. You guys can type it in themataponte.com/links, and that'll take you to, yeah, themataponte.com/links. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Light, language, tones, and frequencies for healing. Any thoughts? Yes, light. I love Jupiter Rising. I've watched it so many times. Yeah, it's a pretty cool show. Light therapy. So those of you that don't know, I'm a certified neurolinguistic programming practitioner, certified hypnotherapist, certified sound therapist, and color light therapist. So our DNA, so kind of tying this back up, let's say the last 15 minutes, you got the link. Thank you. Awesome. She has connections with bees. I don't know if I get that. Or maybe you're not talking to me. Maybe you're talking to somebody in the chat. Anyway, so DNA can be communicated with or programmed with three things: light, sound, and frequency are one and the same, and resonance. Okay. So those are the three things that can be created with sound. And the doctors, if you guys want to look this up, I will give you the information. The doctors that actually, here we go, discovered this. This was first discovered by Dr. Fritz, Fritz, Albert Pop. Excuse me. And they discovered that biophotons are used as light speed communication mechanism for the web of DNA. And they essentially propose that it's like a biological intranet. And so what that means is that we can also use coherent light to communicate with our own DNA. Another doctor was in 1985, a Russian scientist, Dr. Peter Garyev. He discovered that vibrational energy, words, and sounds of the right frequency can communicate with our DNA. And then also, let's see, where was the other? There was another doctor in the 80s. And if you want to look this up, because this is really fascinating stuff if you guys like research. So in March 2019, so not the 80s, in 2019, a collaboration of scientists from Harvard, Berkeley, and MIT, they were led by Dr. Andrew Gorky. So his last name is spelled Goerke. They published new findings on how a particular part of non-coding sections of DNA might hold the master switch to turning on our body's ability to regenerate itself. So what does that mean? If you're familiar with epigenetics, epigenetics is essentially, let me bring the chat back up just in case. Yes, about Jupiter rising. Oh, yes. Okay, I get you now. So epigenetics is essentially I'm going to make this like super basic, means that our environment creates who we are, right? And scientists have known this from a long time ago, prior to the discovery of epigenetics and our genome and how that works. So frequencies can heal. You think it can heal muscular dystrophy? Wow. Gosh. I don't know. Autism. So this is what I do know. There are documented studies that have shown significant improvements in children with autism, people that suffer from tinnitus, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, and what was the other one? Now, I don't know a lot on muscular dystrophy, so I don't want to say one way or another, yes or no. What I will say is that the lower vibrational frequencies, so like 174, 285, hold on, I have them right here. I want to give them to you so that way if you can create them, or you can go check out, I'm not trying to plug my own shit, but if you want to go to isosynclabs.com, there's a free 14-day trial for the app. This is the whole reason why I created this app, people, is to help. I disguise it as, hey, sleep better, focus better, but really my mission behind this is to help people have a tool to fight against the war on consciousness. So, you know, who knows, now that that's out there, they'll probably be coming after me. But so 174 hertz, XRP Leatherneck, 174 hertz, 285 hertz. Those, especially 285 hertz, is healing tissue and organs. Okay. That one is specially used for that, because these lower frequencies, these lower vibrational frequencies, right? Now, when you listen to it, it doesn't sound low. It's like a boo type thing, right? And then the higher you go, it's like boo, like really loud. But these lower ones actually affect more of our physical body. Now, all of our cells are affected, but they're better for like healing skin, burned skin, lesions, acne, all kinds of skin disorders. Like 174 and 285 are really good for that. So let's see, Solviets. I believe genetics creates who we are and environment affects about 30%. Yeah, that's what they used to believe too. So let's see, I've consciously known my whole life that my environment plays a huge role in how I feel. I've always felt super connected in that way. So there's a lot of different, you know, thoughts, and I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. Genetics plays a huge role in it. Based on the new science, though, and that's why I'm giving you guys these doctors' names so you can go research their stuff, because I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm just an advocate of all the knowledge I've studied and researched, right? And so what they found is that we can change our DNA, and this is proven. We can absolutely change our DNA, and it can be done actually really quick. So when we talk about if our DNA can be changed, right? And so let's go back to the beginning of the show. I don't know if you were watching from the beginning. The solfeggio frequencies, the effects that it has, right? So the test that was done where the chants and the classical music and the rock music, the effect that had on the DNA. Well, if you can visualize, right? So let's visualize a strand of DNA. What happens is that when DNA is stressed, okay, which happens with 440 and other irritable low vibrational frequencies. And when I say low vibrational, I don't mean low like 174. I mean like inverted geometries. What they do is they constrict the DNA. Now, what happens is that when the DNA constricts, it actually shuts off any communication from the outer area. So that's the UV light absorption. It actually decreases the UV light absorption. So what that means is that any new non-coding information that can affect our DNA in a positive way, right, cannot be received. Now, studies have also proven, and again, please look this up yourself. Studies have also been proven that when we listen to healing tones or sounds, or even let's move music out of it, right? Even when you're holding your baby and you're in love, or you're petting your dog and you're in love with your dog, or you're with your loved one, or you're just really happy because you've had a good day, or you're emoting gratitude, right? Our heart center, and science has proven this too, actually puts out an electromagnetic field. It's actually the strongest electromagnetic field of all of the organs in our body. And what our heart and our solar plexus puts out, emanates from us, is based on our emotional feelings. And what they have found is that when we are in a good, higher, we'll call it higher vibrational emotion, love, gratitude, joy, bliss, happiness, right? That our DNA actually begins to relax and almost straighten out. Now, why is that important? Because whenever our DNA relaxes and almost straightens out, it actually allows for communication. Well, why is that important? because the right kind of communication to our DNA can unlock and change the nucleotides within our DNA, which carries literal syntax information, which shows or which is predicts or conducts how the DNA is going to perform. When one DNA strand is changed or reprogrammed, it immediately at light speed communicates that with all the other DNA molecular structures within our body. So we can change our DNA. Science has proven this. So if we go back to we can change our DNA, that also means that we can change our genetics, right? So just think about that. Do some research on it. Programming water, yes. Let's see. That's amazing. Is that frequency? Oh, yeah, Reiki healing modalities. So Reiki is essentially a form of channeling certain types of consciousness energy, right? And usually it's source energy. Because what Reiki healers are simply channelers. And if there's any Reiki masters or practitioners in the group, you can attest to this. Essentially what you are is you're just a channeler for pure consciousness energy. And so I've had Reiki sessions from a second generation Reiki master, and they've just been like wonderful. They can comb through your aura. They can help you release old programming, subconscious from this life and past lives. You may not believe in that or not, but it's a true thing. So Reiki it's all the same, right? Light frequencies, light, sound, it's all a form of electromagnetic waves. And so in a sense, Reiki healers are also light and sound healers as well. Let's see, trying to catch up here on the chat. Soviets did the studies, and of course others. Famous Soviet educators took toughest cases of bad children and had some success to change them. Yeah, they did. Can music sounds help to give up smoking? Brenda Wesley, that's a great question. So I've actually helped people quit smoking through hypnotherapy and addiction to, or I'll say unhealthy addiction to cannabis. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I use cannabis on occasion. And what the addictive behavior is mostly embedded in our subconscious, right? So it's either done because it's just something we did when we were a teenager and we liked it, and now it's just part of our behavior. Our subconscious is that if it's that old, it's actually based on your unconscious. So there is a frequency that actually helps, and they're the lower 396. So 396 actually helps relieve. I'm just kind of looking at some notes here on my phone. 396 helps. It penetrates into the deeper self to reverse the feeling of guilt, fear, and all negative emotions. Negative emotions are often described by meditative practitioners as the ultimate blockers to self-realization. So it helps your cells, 396 hertz, helps your cells release these at a cellular level. So can I say that that listening to this is going to help you stop smoking? I'm not going to say that because I haven't experienced that with any of my clients or students, but I would say give it a try. And if you were going to give it a try, what I would do is 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes a day. Use headphones. It doesn't matter any type of headphones. It can be your regular ones that come with your phone, earbuds, whatever it is. I would recommend not using Bluetooth, just because Bluetooth is, you shouldn't really be using Bluetooth. But wired earbuds and listen to a 396 tone for at least 20 minutes a day. Do that for 30 days straight and see what happens. 21 to 30 days, in maybe 40 if you're like a long time, smoker, like lifetime. That's what I would suggest, right? I don't know. Give it a try. Obviously, guys, I'm covering my own ass here too. I don't know. Give it a try. Maybe it'll work. Tell me what happens. Okay. So is Annie Prescott, is that frequency boss Spence? So I think in October it'll start. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up here. Interesting stuff. Yes. Gratitude. Yes. Programming water. Oh yeah. Dark to light. Big fan of doing that. I use the sine wave, usually put in 432. Yeah, absolutely. Water. So this water here has been vortexed and programmed I just put my phone up to them or my Bluetooth speaker, and I have a little vortex spinner I've created to do the reverse. So quick tip for those of you who may not know this. When you want to vortex your water, you essentially want to spin it in a counterclockwise way. Spinning it in clockwise is actually expelling. So if you want to completely clean the water of anything that could have been programmed in it, you can clockwise. And then if you want to program it, you want to spin it counterclockwise, and then you can program it that way. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Speaking of gratitude, so grateful you were here, Matt. Have a good heart. Appreciate your desire to share your knowledge with us. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, guys. We're coming up a little over an hour. It was a great show. I'm going to be here every Wednesday night. Next week, I will be coming to you from Vegas. I'm going to be in Vegas, Las Vegas, launching ISOSYNC Pets. We're going to be at the Super Zoo, actually launching a new branch of ISOSYNC to help with your pets, anxiety and stress and all that cool stuff too. So 396 helps unblock it, sounds like. Yeah, give that a try. All right. Have a good night, guys. And I will see you guys next week.